I'll start over. I'm Addie Smith-Ryman, the Executive Director of the Portland Society for Architecture, and I'm really excited to welcome everyone to an ongoing series that we have on building birds safe. This is a partnership that we have with Maine Audubon. I'm really grateful for Nick Lund being here. And we are really excited to welcome Matt from Marvin and Stephanie from GlasPro. They will formally introduce themselves, but this is a follow-up to a really beautiful afternoon we had at Gilsland Farm last 2 weeks ago, where we actually met on site, had a luncheon, did a walk around, and looked at some glass samples. This will be recorded and available on our YouTube channel, which has our ongoing series of BirdSafe, but other programs that PSA has. So I would encourage you to check that out, and I will put that in the chat. And we're looking forward to more programs and more happenings around this topic. November and December often go quiet for PSA, but next week we have a special announcement and a fun celebration through the month of November. So keep a lookout for that. And without any further ado, I'm going to introduce Matt Lagayat from Marvin, who we are in their showroom now, which is awesome. It's sort of a change and shift from being in our home offices. So I'm really grateful to actually be in the showroom down on Marginal Way in Portland. Matt, thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Addie, and thank you everyone for participating here today. This is a good, a nice presentation, and I thank Stephanie and Joe Green from GlasPro for being here as well. We are in the design gallery by Eldridge Lumber here on Marginal Way, as Addie mentioned. We're sitting in front of and behind some beautiful windows, but this presentation here today is to discuss and expose bird-safe glazing to as many as possible. It's something that is catching on. It's something that needs to catch on. As Stephanie goes through a presentation, we also have some examples of some projects that we have done with bird-safe glazing, and we can discuss those in a little bit more detail as we come up to that slide. This beginning slide here is a nice project. As you can see, it's under construction, but it does have the GlasPro UV invisible bird-safe glazing in it, and it is local here in southern Maine. It's actually in Biddeford, a private residence. Stephanie, I'll let you continue.
Thanks, Addie. Thanks, Matt. Good morning, everybody. I'm Stephanie Aldretti, Director of Marketing here at GlasPro. I'm joined by Joe Green in the other room. He's the president of GlasPro. GlasPro was founded in 1988, so we've been around for almost 33 years or something. One of the biggest fabricated glass fabricators in Southern California, but we do business all around the United States. And today I wanted to talk to you about what we've learned in the past 6 years ago, marketing and selling bird-friendly glass, particularly the ultraviolet reflective pattern glass that we're very proud of. We'll talk to you about that and our complete product line. But before we do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about the issues of bird glass collisions and talk about some of the legislation and code, building codes that have been established across North America, and kind of see what people are doing about the problem and what some of the solutions are. So, Joe, do you want to say hello?
Hello, everybody. We're very excited about this product and the traction it appears to be gaining. It seems like the inquiries and the actual clientele willing to add these types of tools to their windows is increasing every day. And it certainly wouldn't be happening without the help of the architectural industry being out in front of it and addressing this issue that's been ignored for many, many years.
Thanks, Joe. So let me just jump right in. So for some of you who are not aware, probably don't know, that about 1 billion birds a year perish from collisions with glass. every year in the United States, probably more than that across all of North America. What birds actually see is a reflection of vegetation or sky when they're flying amongst buildings, or they see through the glass. Glass is transparent to them. So the problems that birds have are transparency and reflectivity, mainly. Most collisions occur during the day when migratory birds and other birds try to take flight to resume their journeys in migration. And my friend Nick from Maine Audubon can attest to that. So Nick, please feel free to join in. And I also wanted to make one little note that I am not an ornithologist. I am not a scientist. I'm talking to you about the research that others have done, testing that others have done. So when I'm citing facts, I will tell you about who the source of these facts and where you can go for more information as well. And Nick, of course, is a great source of information. So most collisions do occur during the day when migratory birds are taking flight to resume their journeys. And birds that land in or near cities to rest and eat find themselves in a maze of glass. So if you're at home and you notice birds walking toward your window and hitting your window, you understand that the problem they have is either reflectivity or transparency. They maybe see through to the other side of your home. Glass is not just a problem for migratory birds, right? It's, as I said, local birds fly in and out of their habitat in your neighborhood and in search of food and water and shelter. They also experience these deadly collisions. Birds also collide with lighted windows at night. I wanted to make note of that as well. It's also a very large problem. According to the Fatal Light Awareness Program in Canada, many species of birds migrate at night using light from the moon, stars, and the setting sun to navigate. The lights of our urban areas confuse birds and pull them out of their way, as you can imagine. They may be pulled down into downtown mazes of buildings with glass where lights have been left on at night. So birds are attracted to that and unfortunately perish or get injured from flying into windows there. I recently read in a new report by the National Glass Association that the majority of the documented collisions occur from ground level to about 50 feet elevation, where birds are generally most active, as you probably observe in your daily life. The height also correlates with many of the natural elements, such as mature tree canopy that birds are attracted to. So why do we care? Well, who doesn't love birds? Studies show that birds increase our happiness levels, and I agree with that because I love to watch the birds in my neighborhood and around my house and eating seeds from our bird feeder every day. It's quite a joy. Beyond that, birds pollinate plants, distribute seeds, and control pest populations. So birds, of course, are a very, very important part of our natural world. Anybody have any questions or have anything to add? Nick? Nope. Okay, passing with flying colors so far, great. So out of concern comes legislation and building codes. The aim is to make the human-built environment as safe as possible for birds, right? This means that glass needs to be visible to birds. Without going into too much detail about all the legislation and codes, because they're all different, you really don't quite yet have a standard that everyone is using yet. And I'll go into that a little bit further, and I'll give you some sources of where you can go find more information on codes and standards. I'll show you this list of all the mandatory and voluntary measures that are in place throughout North America, meaning the US and Canada, of course. In the past year alone, we've seen about 7 new cities or states adopt bird-friendly building standards. So that is so encouraging to me to see this very rapid uptick in local towns, provinces, states jumping on board, realizing there's a problem and taking action toward resolution. In the US, San Francisco, I believe, was the first to adopt their BirdSafe building ordinance in 2011. And since then, many cities in Northern California, particularly the Bay Area, have adopted them. You can see them here on the list from Alameda, Oakland, Palo Alto, Richmond, Santa Cruz, San Jose, Mountain View, etc. All of them jumping on board, which is wonderful. The San Francisco ordinance, and I know this might sound a little technical, but you could read more about it. This is just an example. The San Francisco ordinance applies to new buildings, additions, significant renovations that are within an urban bird refuge or that are within 30 feet of a refuge and have a clear line of sight to it. More than 90% of the glass in the first 60 feet must be bird friendly. So what you'll see in a lot of the building codes, that bird friendly materials must be within 50, 60, 75 feet from the ground. So one more example is something brand new, and it's New York City, which is exciting. They adopted an ordinance, or new law, rather, I should say, in 2019, and it became law in 2021, just in January, and it's called Local Law 15, and it requires that all new buildings in the city, from houses to skyscrapers, use a minimum of 90% bird-friendly materials in the first 75 feet above grade. The law covers auxiliary structures and includes requirements for hazardous features as well. Local Law 15 is considered recommended by the American Bird Conservancy. By that, they mean that the legislation overall will be most effective at protecting birds. So American Bird Conservancy looks at all the different ordinances and laws, and they've kind of compared and contrast them. And on their website, you can find the ordinances that they recommend highly and those that they don't recommend, using as a model for a city or town, municipality, state, what have you, when you're going about designing something new. So they have their recommended one. They had their hand heavily into the New York City code, and so they're very proud of this one. And I met recently with the New York City Audubon folks. They were very involved as well, and they're very, very thrilled that they have something in their city to show to architects when they come around looking for guidance. So what is bird-friendly glazing? Let's talk about that. It is glass that is specifically designed to be visible, to be a visible obstacle to birds. There are a variety of approaches, such as fritting, silk screening, and ultraviolet coating. Now I'm talking about glazing, right? This is patterns on glass that break up the reflectivity or transparency of glass. The American Bird Conservancy has tunnel tested. Let me show you what that means. Let me move something over here. Can you see this other picture?
We can't, Stephanie. I'm sorry.
Okay, are you still looking at my?
We
Okay.
can still see your presentation.
Okay, you're looking at my presentation, that's fine. So they've tunnel tested birds to determine which patterns in glass create the best bird deterrent. They found that patterned glass works best to prevent bird strikes. And this is glass with horizontal, vertical, or dot patterns in glass. And that can be achieved in many ways. And 3 of the ways that I just described, fritting, silk screening, which is acid-etch, or ultraviolet coatings, ultraviolet reflective coatings. In their research, they developed the concept of material threat factor. This is a way to assign scores that provide a relative measure of a bird's ability to see and avoid glass and other materials. These scores help you design buildings using rated glass. So when you go looking for glass, you want to find something that's been tunnel tested or follow something that we call the 2x4 rule, which I can describe for you in a minute. These scores help you, design using rated glass, and the scores have become kind of an industry standard, if you will, for measuring the effectiveness of bird-friendly glazing. And threat factors can help you create a credit for reducing bird collisions in the LEED rating system. So there is now LEED credit 55 for bird collision deterrence, and I'll be showing you that in a sec. So what is tunnel testing, right? It is a test flight, right? A bird flies down a completely dark space, a tunnel toward light at the far end where side-by-side panels of glass appear to offer exit routes. So one pane of glass is the clear glass, that's the control, and it's invisible to the bird. And the other has a pattern under evaluation. So this is how they test glass. They have the pattern glass and the plain glass, and they safely fly birds down a dark tunnel. And then there is, of course, a netting that the bird will fly into. So they don't cause bird deaths by trying to test bird protective glass. So hope that explains things. So the ABC believes that the birds see and avoid the patterns, right? The threat factor of a material is based on flying at least 80 birds, individual birds, down a tunnel. So for example, if 80 birds fly down a tunnel with 20 flying toward the test pattern and 60 toward the control, that is 25% of the time the birds fly toward the test pattern. The ABC considers anything less than a threat factor of 30 to be an acceptable bird deterrent, right? So anything less than 30, so 30% of the time. Does anybody have any comments or questions about how we determine how a glazing product is tested? And this is just by the American Bird Conservancy. Okay, everybody gets it. Cool. Maybe this is a good place to stop. I've talked about ordinances, codes a little bit, talked about the American Bird Conservancy and how they test bird-friendly glazing. I was going to jump into some of the solutions that have been tunnel tested or follow what we call the 2x4 rule. Yes.
Sounds great.
Ladies, okay? Okay. So I think Joe might help me here. GlasPro offers a family of bird-friendly glazing products. It's a family of ultraviolet reflective, ceramic FRIT, and acid-etched pattern glass. Our products have been tunnel tested or follow what is known as the 2x4 rule. The 2x4 rule relates to line patterns on glass to be effective. To be effective, the lines need to be spaced apart 4 inches vertically or 2 inches horizontally for birds to recognize that they can safely pass through. So I'll show you how our glass does that. This is our bird-friendly product line, ultraviolet reflective, acid etched, and FRIT, ceramic FRIT. Just to get a quick visual of the features of each, I've created this quick graph. Our ultraviolet reflective glass is something that we've been selling for 6 years. We're very proud of this product because it is a highly effective bird collision deterrent, but it's highly transparent to the human eye. So while a bird can see the ultraviolet reflective panels in the glass, those are something that is very hard for the human eye to see under most light conditions. This product and the acid etched products that we sell have been tunnel tested and have threat factors that I just spoke about. They all meet the 2x4 rule with horizontal lines, vertical lines, or dot patterns. All are effective collision deterrents. They're all are safety glass, of course, and can be combined with high performance low E glass. So they're energy efficient as well. And as I said, you can earn LEED pilot credit 55, and they come in obviously various different price levels. It's going to jump into the ultraviolet reflective pattern glass a little bit more. As I said, we've been selling this product for 6 years or so, and it earned a threat factor of 21. So as I mentioned, the American Bird Conservancy says anything under 30 is a great product, is highly effective for avoiding bird strikes. And I'm happy to say that this product earned 21 when it was tunnel tested. And I like the visual here. This kind of helps you get a good sense of what humans see. It's basically, it's transparent, you can see right through the glass, but birds actually see these panels that are spaced 4 inches apart inside the glass. And we'll show you, Matt will show you, and I will show you many different applications of the glass out in the field in buildings, homes, and different types of structures, including railings. We have a laminated, you can have this glass in laminated format. You can see it here and see where the film in the middle, the purple, that's where the lamination or the bird-friendly film goes. And then also available in high performance insulated glass as well. Anything to add, Joe?
I just think that if we certainly have applications where these products are needed, where you want very high levels of transparency, and this would be the right product for that. You know, like handrails, storefronts, just areas where you really want, you know, to have what a classic look through glass would be without lines and distractions. This is the product to go with. So, and that's why it was developed.
Right. And what we think is really important is maintaining that human visual experience that you want, in this product can do that for you. Another measure of effectiveness is something called the American Bird Conservancy Avoidance Index. They're focusing more these days on what they call the threat factor, but I just wanted to make note that at the time this product was tested, it earned an avoidance index number, and that was 79%. So what that means is birds avoided BirdSafe, our ultraviolet reflective glass, 79% of the time when they flew through the tunnel, right? And under very sunny conditions, the glass performed even better. The avoidance index was 84%, making this an extremely effective bird collision, bird strike deterrent. Let me talk to you for a moment about LEED pilot credit 55. Our friends at the American Bird Conservancy also had their hand in this, in developing this this credit. And when they were developing the glass rating system, it became possible to use the threat factors assigned to materials as a basis for LEED credit. This credit was added to LEED in 2011 and is available for projects using any version of LEED. And the credit was modeled on traditional methods of calculating insulation ratings. Every material on a building envelope is assigned a threat factor rating, and these ratings are entered into a calculator along with the area covered by each material, recognizing that the lower floors of any building are the most likely to pose glass collision danger to birds. Materials on the lower 4 floors are assigned a weighted threat factor, and they count twice as much as materials using used higher up in the same building, because we know that most of the collisions happen on the lower floors where birds live, right? Where they're eating and resting and flying around. One goal of the credit design was to provide flexibility to designers by allowing a wide range of materials and styles. So we're not just talking about bird-friendly glazing, but other things as well. And Pilot 55 is actually the most used credit in the Pilot credit library, which I just found out this week, and that's very heartening to me. So our bird-friendly glass can help you earn LEED points. So that's exciting. So here is just a quick bullet point list of our features and benefits. You can find all this information on our website, and we've got all kinds of brochures and videos and what have you that kind of go over these things in detail. But I just wanted to pop this up real quick so you can see what we've got. And very happy to say that we've been partnering with Marvin Windows this year on several projects, including BirdSafe glass, and I'll let Matt tell you about them.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie. And I thought it was important that we put some projects into this presentation that brought a little focus to the more local or regional community anyway. But this is a residence, private residence. It's obviously on the water, as you can see from the picture on the left-hand side. And when we talk about views and not obstructing the views to the human eye, I think when you're on the water, it's even that much more important. And that's what happened here, is that using the UV glazing on this project was so important to keep the beautiful view of the water and the coastline intact for the human eyes, but also protecting the birds and minimizing any collisions by using the UV glazing. This was also a product where it was combined with tri-pane glass. So as Stephanie was talking about, the ability to use some high performance products is still in existence when you can use this as well. So great project. It's funny when we talk about these showing pictures of this UV glass, you can't see anything, and and that's part of what this is all about, is being able for the human eye to not detect anything and get that clear view.
And I'd like to add, actually, if you go back, Stephanie, that project is one of our board members for PSA, Danielle Fwasi with Kaplan Thompson Architects. And actually Nick Lund featured this project in Habitats, which is their quarterly magazine. So if you are not members of Maine Audubon, you should become a member, and you can get a copy of that. You should also become a member of PSA, and we share information. So, but I really do want to give Kaplan Thompson a big shout out for doing this. We're starting to see more Maine firms do work around this. Oak Point was actually at our luncheon. They're working on a federal project down at the Rachel Carson Reserve. Simon's Architects is working on this, and Opal has as well. So people are working with their clients, convincing their clients, or their clients are asking. So this is really exciting.
Yeah. So this next one is called, it's a project in the Catskill Mountain area of New York that we did, Hurley, New York. Used GlasPro ultraviolet reflective glassing on all the lower units. And again, having that variety of different products can help you select the right ones for the certain project, or for even the location within a certain project. So mixing and matching is something that we have seen. A local project here in Maine, another private residence, is going just that way. Lower units, we're using the ultraviolet invisible glass. Upper units, where it's not so important to the human eye, one of the patterns for fritted glass was chosen and used. Again, you don't see it that well in these pictures, but that was how it was used. This is another building in New York. It's in the Capital District area, the Five Rivers Environmental Education Center. And this one used UV glazing as well. Ironically, this is an educational center as well as a visitor center. You can see in the lower left-hand picture, that's really a classroom area. And they did all kinds of other things to be environmentally responsible here by collecting rainwater and a green roof, as you can see it there, geothermal heating, and they just went really deep into the whole environmentally responsible aspect of building on this job. As I mentioned, there's another one that here in Maine that is in the works right now. The product isn't delivered yet, so we couldn't get any pictures of that. But I really do see that this whole aspect of bird-friendly and bird-safe glass is going to expand. It's going to get more popular. It's going to be more exposed, and I think that's one thing we're doing here is trying to identify it as an option when you're looking at building a house. It doesn't have to be on the water. It doesn't have to be on the top of a mountain, but there's still the ability to be bird safe and bird friendly to our friends in the sky here.
Great.
Thank you, Matt. So we'll shift gears from the East Coast to the West Coast. And well, actually, no, our Hudson River crossing, Mario Como Bridge, really proud of this project that was completed 2 years ago. GlasPro BirdSafe ultraviolet reflective glass was used in 6 of their scenic overlooks across this new 2-mile span of bridge. And then moving to the West Coast, we've done a lot of projects here in the past several years using our UV glass. And this one is on some actually quite large units of glass at the San Francisco International Airport Sky Terrace, several feet across, giving visitors to the airport a nice place to watch the planes come and go while keeping the birds safe. And another part of the airport, there's another observation deck using the glass in a slightly different way, but the same purpose and same application. This was done, I think, 1 year ago, the observation deck at SFO. Nearby at the Richmond ferry terminal on the bay, as I mentioned, Richmond, California now has a bird-friendly building ordinance. And so they use bird-friendly glass on this new terminal on one side of it. Again, really large panes. This was one of our first projects at the Delaware Water Gap National Park headquarters. They had a really bad problem of bird strikes here at this building. So bird-friendly glass to the rescue. SEAPLANE Lagoon Ferry Terminal at Alameda Point. Again, on the San Francisco Bay, Alameda adopted bird-friendly building standards 2 years ago. So all of their projects now are using bird-friendly glass, and this is just one example. MURANO, San Francisco. This is a new condominium building near the bay. Their facilities for their members, or their people that own the condos there, have this beautiful outdoor area where they can see, as you can see here, the Bay Bridge and San Francisco Bay. So they're surrounded by this bird-safe glass. So those are all of our examples. Didn't want to go on too long with UV, but just want to give you a sense of what it looks like. Now, just real quickly, wanted to tell you about our BirdSafe acid-etched pattern glass. We partner with Walker who you're probably familiar with. I know that they've visited with PSA in the past. We sell their acid-etched glass products with pattern markers on the outside surface, providing bird collision deterrent properties in exterior glazing applications. And we sell 9 of their styles, and I just want to show you really quick, just 3 of them. As I mentioned before, the vertical line pattern are follow the 2x4 rule, and our lead, you can earn lead pilot credit using these products. So this is a vertical example. Here's a horizontal example with those lines going horizontally. And then one of my favorite ones is the organic product, which we showed a couple weeks ago in Portland at the main Autobahn event that we hosted along with PSA and Marvin. We also offer here in-house at GlasPro, we fabricate ceramic FRIT pattern glass as well. It follows the 2x4 rule and helps you obtain that important lead pilot credit 55. We offer horizontal pattern. These are 1/8" silkscreen ceramic FRIT lines spaced 4 inches apart horizontally, and then again vertical line pattern. And of course the one that I like is the 20% white dots, which is also a great alternative. So those are our products. As you can see, we've got a family of products, the UV, the ceramic FRIT, and now partnering with Walker and their acid etched products, which are quite popular as well. So that's it on our little presentation today. Just wanted to see if anybody had any questions, if my co-hosts had any more comments or ideas that they wanted to share.
Thank you, Stephanie, so much. I think it's really great to have both you and Matt in conversation. I think for the folks that will tune into this later, there were a lot of architects that actually signed on that they'll get copies of this. The question of glass producer versus like window fabrication, you know, there's a whole system in place, and I think showing the partnerships between the glass supplier and the window manufacturer is also really critical to understanding what that partnership is, and looking at these case studies is fabulous. And I also, you know, Nick, if you want to say a few words, always, you know, I don't think there's, so please, you know.
Yeah, I just want to, well, first of all, thanks Stephanie and Matt
Welcome.
and Addie for putting this all together. I mean, we're really excited about this. I mean, no, as a, you know, in the conservation world, like Stephanie said at the top, 1 billion birds a year, it's estimated 1 billion. That's 2.7 million a day, right? Are dying from flying into glass. 2.7 million birds a day in the United States. That's, you know, the entire population of Chicago dying every day by flying into glass. This is a major problem. And as conservationists, what we do is try to identify major problems and fix them, right? To protect biodiversity, protect wildlife. This is one that's fixable. That's the thing here. This is fixable. We know that glass is causing the problem. The American Bird Conservancy has shown that, you know, the amount of glass on the facade of the building is the #1 predictor of how dangerous it is. Glass is causing the problem, so let's fix the glass. We're so glad that GlasPro has these products, and that Marvin is putting these products out, and that we're getting towards the solution. And I have a lot of hope with architects, and I do feel like this will be, you know, as indicated, as sort of a growing issue among clients, right? Because the sort of green building movement has been about understanding our impacts, understanding the impacts of our building, then working to correct them. And it's fairly easy to understand a beautiful dead bird sitting on your porch. And so as this gains traction and awareness among home buyers, it'll become more in demand. And so I really feel good about being on the cutting edge of it. I'm obligated to say, and I know we have glass companies on, but there are other architectural solutions other than, you know, just glass. There are screening technologies. There are ways to retrofit the outside of existing windows if someone's unable to replace the whole panel through various means. And so, Maine Audubon's job is to get all those solutions out there. As Stephanie has said, glass, especially UV glass, is by far the least visually impactful. Although overall, the solutions are not that visually impactful. You'd be surprised at how easy it is to see through a window, even that's been treated with decals, etc. So this is a major problem. I'm so glad we're working on it. I run the BirdSafe Maine program, and I want to shout out Dr. Chris Marr from the University of Southern Maine, who I know is online, who is a great partner in that program. We're monitoring the strikes in Portland during spring and fall migration. We're just about to wrap up our fall migration walking season now. Chris was out with Otson Smith from Simon's Architecture on a very chilly morning. We found a lot of birds this year, and we're learning more about the issue in Portland. And so I just appreciate everyone here, and let's keep this momentum going and keep growing the project.
Yeah, thank you, Nick. And
Yeah.
if
I'd like to have one more comment. The architectural trend right now is more of this large glass uninterrupted by button bars or putting two windows together to make up a larger assembly. And what that does is it just promotes the bird collisions a little bit. And so it's something that is desired by architects and homeowners, and I completely understand it. It's a great trend. It looks great, but it just makes the BirdSafe glazing that much more important for that type of structure.
So I would encourage everyone to unmute themselves and put their cameras back on so you could participate and ask questions. It's a small enough group that we can, chime in and ask away. We don't need to curate that by any stretch. If there are questions, and there must be, or comments. There's always that, I could play the Eagles again and jazz everybody out. But I am respectful of everyone's time, but I do think that if you do have questions or comments, please, say something.
Or, if you'd like to just contact us separately, if you have any questions about glass or issues, we'd be happy to talk to you or, exchange email. So
Absolutely.
we're reachable.
I'll say quickly, one thing we discussed when we were at Gilson Farm 2 weeks ago, this is Maine Audubon's headquarters in Falmouth, is an effort we're trying to work on to turn that building, especially our education center, the first building you sort of come to, into a showcase for the different strategies to make windows more visible to birds. One of the main questions I get from anyone, homeowners, architects, anyone who is thinking about taking BirdSafe measures, is they don't know what it looks like, and they're concerned that it'll look bad. It doesn't look bad, but you have to really see it to understand that. And so what we're trying to do is retrofit or replace or whatever we can do a bunch of the lots of windows at Gilson Farm with different products to show so people can come and see firsthand what they look like. We're excited to work with Stephanie on that and anyone else who wants to get involved. So hopefully next time we have this or a meeting similar, we can do it in person at Gilsland, and like we did a couple weeks ago, walk around and actually see what these things look like once they're in place.
And as we do think about more gatherings, outside is always lovely. We'll let the winter pass, but we'd like to host a drink and crit on BirdSafe. We plan to do that in 2020, but we all know what happened. So potentially 2022 would be a lovely time to host a drink and crit on potential BirdSafe interventions out on the patio during peak peony bloom season. So that is my goal. So
that sounds great.
Yeah. So anything else? Does anyone else want to add anything? Again, I'm respectful of everyone's time. So yeah. Well, okay. Well, thank you. And again, look out
Thank
for
you.
more recorded conversations. Again, on our YouTube channel, we actually have Christine Shepard with the American Bird Conservancy in conversation with Dan Pizelli, who is with FX Collaborative, a leading firm on BirdSafe building in New York City and elsewhere. And then we also had a local panel with Matt Maiello and Austin Smith from Simons and Danielle Foissey from Kaplan Thompson. So please watch that as well. It's pretty amazing to hear from their perspectives of the history of why they did the projects they did. And always grateful to Stephanie and Matt for just being open and receptive to this. You know, it's an industry that is really getting at the forefront of change. I think, you know, Stephanie just shared the glass project. You had mentioned the glass industry publication that I would love to share with Nick and others on this call. It's a PDF. I just think, you know, it's dense reading, but it's really important to see how the glass industry is responding to this.
Yeah.
And
Great.
just to, you know, from all angles. And I'm always grateful to Nick for being the partner in crime on this, because I think it's exciting to have Maine really look at the broad picture of this. So thank you, everyone. And
Thank you.
yeah.